Can we run it back? What's up, everybody? Well, God bless. I hope you all are having a great week. And if you read the title, you already know what we're doing. So let's get right into it. Cleveland Browns 3-14. Fair or not, the Browns are still in a rebuilding phase, and their division, it's going to be super tough for them to win more than 5 games. And with the Browns' quarterback situation that has been a disaster for the last 5 years, it's hard to see the Browns getting anywhere in a really tough AFC North. Baltimore Ravens 10-7. This is, in my opinion, a transitional year for the Baltimore Ravens. With Jesse Minter taking over and John Harbaugh leaving for New York and taking a lot of the Ravens core with him, I expect there will be plenty of growing pains, especially in the AFC North. Pittsburgh Steelers 11-6. Please note, Pittsburgh fans, this is not as good as it looks. To me, bringing in Mike McCarthy and re-signing Aaron Rodgers mean one thing to me. The Pittsburgh Steelers front office wants to continue to be mediocre and just settle for good but not great. And I feel like this record plus a wild card exit summarizes that. Cincinnati Bengals 12-5. Now I know that I glaze the Bengals every single year, but genuinely, if Joe Burrow can stay healthy and that defense can be just average, then Cincinnati should have no trouble winning the AFC North. I genuinely mean that. Tennessee Titans 5-12. Don't get me wrong, I like where Tennessee is going in their rebuild, but I think they've got one more year before they're truly a contender. Titans fans, as long as you see flashes from your young players, you should be happy with how this season goes. Indianapolis Colts 6-11. In general, the Colts just have a number of question marks. Number one being Daniel Jones, and is he going to return to that same form after his Achilles injury? They also traded away Michael Pittman, and that is a giant concern to the wide receiver core. And in general, they're just kind of mid. Jacksonville Jaguars 10-7. The Jaguars are the first on this list that I think benefited from an easy schedule last year. Don't get me wrong, they're not a bad team. They still benefited from their easy schedule. So I think the Jaguars will have some slight regression this year with a slightly harder schedule. Houston Texans 12-5. The Texans revamped their offensive line. They also retooled a little bit on defense by adding some more pieces. This year, it is all on Stroud. If he can play well, this team could easily win the division. New York Jets 1-16. This record may be exaggerated, but it's really not a hot take. Like, the Jets are just awful, and literally everybody knows they're tanking. Miami Dolphins 2-15. Miami might somehow have a worse roster than the Jets. But despite that, I think they're slightly better than the Jets, mostly because the Jets are the Jets. But also, I trust Malik Willis slightly more. That being said, Miami is still a bottom 5 team at best. New England Patriots 11-6. Of all my predictions, this is the one I'm the most confident in. With all the offseason drama that they've had, as well as them benefiting from a really easy schedule last year, I think the Patriots are bound for at least some regression. Buffalo Bills 12-5. And yes, I do have Buffalo winning the AFC East. But at this point, that's not really what matters to Bills fans anymore. What matters to Bills fans now is that they get over the hump, and I'm really not sure that's going to happen. Las Vegas Raiders 3-14. I'd really like to give the Raiders a better record than this, but their schedule is just super difficult. So my suggestion would be simply to sit Mendoza on the bench, let Kirk Cousins take the fall this season, and then start Mendoza next year when their schedule is easier. LA Chargers 8-9. Now, I know this one's definitely going to ruffle some feathers, but I genuinely think the Chargers are kind of mid. And you know how I said the Raiders' schedule was hard? Yeah, the Chargers' schedule is even harder. And because I think they're mid, I just think they're going to drop a bunch of their games. It's that simple. Kansas City Chiefs 9-8. The Chiefs will undoubtedly be better than the injury-riddled 2025 season. However, they probably won't be that much better. Rashee Rice has been doing a lot, and it doesn't really feel like Kansas City upgraded that much this offseason anyway. Plus the gauntlet of an AFC West schedule, it's just unlikely that they'll be that much better. Denver Broncos 12-5. Why does Denver win the AFC West? On paper, they are the best and most talented team in the AFC West. KC does have experience, but they're kind of going through a rough patch right now. I already said the Chargers are kind of mid, and I don't really trust the Raiders. So by default, I think the Broncos are the best team in this division. Arizona Cardinals 3-14. In hindsight, I don't even remember which games I gave Arizona wins for, apart from the Jets. Because on paper, Arizona is by far the worst team in the NFC. And it's very obvious that they're tanking. San Francisco 49ers 14-3. This is one of my hot takes for this season. I think everybody in the NFC West, apart from Arizona, finishes with 14 wins or more. And for San Francisco, if they can just stay healthy, they can absolutely do this. Seattle Seahawks 14-3. I don't see the Seattle Seahawks having much regression this year. They did lose some pieces, but I feel like they kept most of their main core. They should not be that much worse. LA Rams 14-3. The Rams win the NFC West, in my opinion, because they are the most complete team in football. All across the board, they are just the most talented. And I believe that is why they are going to win the toughest division in football. New York Giants 4-13. Remember what I said about Tennessee? Yeah, every single one of those points can be reiterated for the Giants. But I think in the future, they are Philadelphia's biggest threat long term. Washington Commanders 6-11. I'm going to go ahead and say it. I think 2024 was a fluke for Washington. And in the next 2 years, Washington is going to find that out. Dallas Cowboys 6-11. For Dallas, it boils down to 2 words. Jerry Jones. As long as that man is their owner, they're never going to get anywhere. Philadelphia Eagles 13-4. Contrary to popular belief, this is still Philadelphia's division to lose. I do not quite understand the hype around the rest of this division. Philadelphia has had an iron fist on the NFC for years, and I do not see that changing. Atlanta Falcons 4-13. This was by far the hardest division to predict, because everyone in this division is so mid. But I feel like the Falcons have the most glaring weakness, that being quarterback. Carolina Panthers 5-12. Now, I know this seems bad. Even I disagreed with it at first. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized their schedule is brutal. They were already kind of a mediocre team last year, and now they're getting a first-place schedule? I feel like they're bound for regression. New Orleans Saints 7-10. To me, the Saints' success depends entirely on Tyler Shuck. If he plays well, this team could be a playoff contender. If not, they'll probably be in the bottom 10 again. I personally am leaning slightly against Shuck, but not that much. Tampa Bay Buccaneers 8-9. Do I think the Bucs are a great team? No. But do I think they're good enough to win the hapless NFC South? Absolutely. Minnesota Vikings 8-9. The funny thing is, Minnesota would cruise to an NFC South title. But unfortunately, they are merely the 4th best in a division that features 3 Super Bowl contenders. Chicago Bears 12-5. This is my biggest hot take. The Chicago Bears will go 12-5 and still miss the playoffs. That's how competitive I think the NFC is going to be this year. It's nothing against Chicago. Green Bay Packers 13-4. Maybe this would have been slightly influenced after the Josh Jacobs thing that just happened, but genuinely, I think they'll be fine. Micah Parsons by himself is talented enough to carry the Green Bay Packers to 12 wins at least. Last but not least, Detroit Lions 14-3. I've already talked about the Detroit Lions on a separate video, so you can go check that out. But the football gods were kind enough to give the Lions the easiest schedule of all time. I expect nothing less than 12 wins and another division title. This is what I think the official draft order will look like. This is the official bracket for my prediction. I'm going to go ahead and pick every single wild card game, starting with Bengals versus Patriots. I'm picking the Bengals. I think the Patriots will have major regression this year, and I think the Bengals will take advantage of that. Broncos Steelers. I'm picking the Broncos. The Steelers always choke on Wild Card Weekend. Very simple pick. Texans versus Ravens. I'm picking Texans. They always win on Wild Card Weekend, and the Ravens are going through a transitional year. Seahawks Rams is very easy. Seahawks wallop the Bucs. They're the better team. Eagles Niners in Philly. I think Philly wins because they improved this offseason, and San Francisco really did not. Lions Packers. Obviously, I'm going to pick the Lions. Plus, they're at home. Divisional round. Rams versus Seahawks NFC Championship rematch. I'm taking the Rams to win this one because they're at home this time and they're better. Lions versus Eagles. I'm going to pick the Lions because they're the Lions and they're at home. I'm taking Bills over Bengals. Feel like it's pretty self-explanatory. And I'm taking Broncos over Texans because the Texans always collapse in the divisional round. Championship Sunday, I'm taking Bills over Broncos because it's in Buffalo. And I'm taking Lions over Rams because the narrative, beating Stafford to go to a Super Bowl, and definitely not because I'm biased. And in Super Bowl 61, the Lions win, getting their title 70 years after 1957. Definitely not biased. But thank you for watching. God bless. Tell a friend to tell a friend. And with that,
peace!